Hello. Today I'm going to talk about, in my opinion, an interesting subject. The concept of religion and the question whether does God exist or not. And it's, in my opinion, a very important question, because if God does not exist, we can abolish every religion we have, and if God does exist, we can just abolish every atheism we might have as a human being. But let me first start with introducing what religions actually are, and have for example, been through different ages. In ancient times, we had local-based religions where people made up their own gods and goddesses. Where there was a god that let that river flow, and there was a god of thunder, and there was a god that allowed crops to grow. And these gods were created by man simply to explain things that we did not know. We did not know how thunder came out of the skies, and how it did rain, and the rain did fall, and how water flowed, and we made up gods for that. And that's a quite logical way. That's quite logical to do that. If you do not know something, you can't explain something, you can make up a god for that. And later on, when people learned how to read and write, they were able to make stories about gods. For example, the ancient Greeks and ancient Romans did that. You had Jupiter, or Zeus in the Greek mythology, and you had a god for all aspects of life. You had a god that guided you when you died. You had a god that helped you have more fertile lands, or be more fertile yourself. A god of love, a god of war, a god of all aspects in life. And all the other religions had multiple gods and multiple goddesses, and also created stories about them, gods or semi-gods. And later on, other religions started to evolve. For example, in the first ages of our time, you had Christianity, let's say 100 after Christ, and later on you had also Islam. That's about year 700, if I'm 700 or 800, if I'm correct. And you also have nowadays Judaism and Hinduism that also have existed for a long time. And what I'm interested about is that there actually is no proof whatsoever that one religion is more likely to be right than one another. There is no proof that the stories in the Bible or the Quran are more likely to have happened and to be right than the stories of old religions. For example, you have in the Bible Moses that splits the seas, and the plagues, the Pharaoh, and demons that obsess people, versus the old Hercules and nymphs and giant sea monsters of old religions. And you have in for example, the Quran, you have all stories in the Bible, but you also have mythical creatures, mythical happenings, and random stone that's considered to be holy and coming from the sky. So all thousands and thousands of Muslims walk around every year. And all religions have vague mythical stories where there is no clue whatsoever whether they were right. There's no proof whatsoever that these stories have actually happened, and these opinions are right. These morals and values of life are right. There's no proof. So why would one religion be more likely to have happened than another? Because in the end, in my opinion, and not only in my opinion, all religions are man-made. The books of religion are written by humans. The Bible was written by humans. The Quran was written by humans. And all stories in Judaism or and Hinduism and Buddhism, for example, if that's a religion, that's about that. But they are written by man, by humans, and people can claim that they are written by humans with godly intervention or with godly inspiration, but actually all religions claim that, and that would make it not more reasonable that that would happen in one religion as that would be happening in another religion. Why would the Quran have been written with godly intervention and the Bible not? Why would all Hindu books be written with godly intervention or godly inspiration, and, for example, the ancient Greek and Roman gods not? So, in my opinion, all religions we have are just ways of humans to look at God and God or gods and the higher force. And they are man-made, in my opinion, so I think we cannot believe in those religions, because it's just a concept of humankind of a God, and one concept is not more likely to be right than another. If we then, considering that, would go to the all other end of the spectrum, to atheism, there's some interesting things to say about that as well. Because if we cannot believe in a religion in specific, can we believe that God does not exist and all religions are nonsense and every concept that we have of a God, or possibility of a God, is not true? Well, atheism actually concludes that because we should just believe in reason and in things we can as a human discover, and everything that we can touch and feel and think of, and more even science. But when atheism claims that we should believe in science and in the Big Bang Theory and all other concepts, they have no proof that a God does not exist. And in fact, because we have no clue how the Big Bang and that theory started, there is still room for the existence of a God. So we have no way to prove that God does not exist, and therefore we cannot claim to be atheists, in my opinion, because we do not know for sure that God does not exist. We can make it likely that it does not exist, but considering that there are 3 billion people, more than 3 billion people in the world, I think it's maybe 5 even, that believe that there is a God, we cannot exclude that. We can just not simply say they are wrong because we don't know. And in my opinion, that can only lead to being agnostic, saying that, well, there can be a God, but there can also be no God. We simply don't know. It leaves always room, the decision of God always leaves room for discussion. We got atheists battling against theists, against religious people, and also religious people against each other. But the plain fact is that we just don't know. We don't know, and I think we should admit that. We should just admit that we don't know, and until we know, until there is a proof that God does exist or does not exist, we should claim, and we should allow ourselves to think that we don't know. And I think that can take quite some time before that happens, so in the meantime, we should just share ideas, listen to each other's stories, and respect each other's opinion. I think that's the best thing we can do as humans. So let's do that. Share our ideas. If you've got ideas why God should exist or should not exist, please post them in the comments below. Give me a message or make a video response about that. Because I want to know your ideas, and I have not all wisdom in myself. I do not know everything, and there's also always room for discussion. So I would like to debate about that. I would like to discuss that, because religion is an interesting subject, and we should treat it as one. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope I've enriched your ideas a little bit. Thank you.